Not many people know that there's a dead painter in my backyard. It's true, and it's something I would tell my dinner guests, tell them as much when they had the capacity to visit, though this had prompted them to collect their children away from the backyard beneath which is buried a dead man and scurry off into the night. Not a foot ever set back onto my property, it seemed, not for many years. I once had a child come back to my property after he had grown, and he asked why his parents had collected him so hastily and prevented him from ever coming back to see me again. I told him what I already told you, and what I am about to tell you. There is a dead painter in my backyard, and you had traipsed upon his grave, and the painter never wanted anyone to do that because he had made his grave and gravestone himself, molded from his paints and paintbrushes into a large spire protruding from the dirt, before which he dug himself a large hole, then laid himself down in the hole and did himself in and away. And that spire is fragile, strong against the storm, but brittle at the touch of a man, no matter how much of a gentle countenance you may bear unto it. And his bones are old, weighed down by time and crushed by soil, every footstep unwelcome upon him. That weekend, the weekend he buried himself, there was a torrential storm, and the elements blanketed the painter with the dirt he had scrounged to the side of his grave. There were 2 mounds of dirt, one to its right, one to its flank, to account for the 6 feet of earth removed to make the painter's gate to hell, 6 feet for the 2 miles he would need to get to where he was going, and they both individually seemed higher than 3 feet. They looked more like a stubby 4. The painter had been dead 4 days by that time which conditioned his body to become a loose assortment of rotting skin that decayed into a viscous, liquefied form when the rain struck it. By the time the dirt covered his whole body, only his legs, covered in brown fancy pants, had not been torn of its skin and turned into a skeleton. No one knew of the painter's corpse in my backyard except his mother, who had seen him dead in the hole and consequently lost every fibre of her sanity, never bringing herself to go back outside and bury her baby boy properly, and it was none other but I who was responsible for sending the poor thing to the sanitarium down by the port. She, confined behind whitewashed walls, let God and Mother Nature do the thing she was too mad to do, and bury her son. When the time came around to pass the house on, after all, nobody likes a ghost, and empty houses make great ghosts. I bought it for myself from the painter's mother for nothing more than meagre pennies on the dollar, too much of a pittance to the woman to definitely not serve a profit, but enough to make a considerable chip in my pecuniary goings-on. After such, I did the most humanly thing possible and fathered 5 children within the house, one for a different wife. None of them, children and wife, stuck around long after I told them, "Honey, we've got a dead painter in the backyard." I haven't seen the children they took with them to wherever they chose to go, haven't seen them in up to 22 years. Their lives are much too gone now to be mine to see. I never went outside to unbury the mound that now bulges slightly in my backyard, takes steel to the little rise that takes form near my petunia garden, as if the earth itself sprouted a low pimple near a flush of beard. It is not enough of a mound to bother flattening it, though proves enough of a nuisance that I do trip and fall over it as I see more time pass and kill my bones. The painter was a friend. I cherished him more than his own father, a wretched bastard who made him a bastard. And anyway, I have died enough that I cannot do anything myself any more without hired assistance, because that pecuniary hole still hasn't entirely closed, still bleeds. Look out to the spire. It's faded, its colors now gray and dim, out by the tree line. It's conspicuous enough with enough of a foot into the past that, with a little strain from easement, you can see it, pronounced against dark bark. Beneath it, though offset in front of it a foot, are the remains of a dead painter, a dead friend. I believe that if you dig up his bones, there in the dirt they will be, and absorbed into the dirt will be all the paint he consumed to kill himself. When I'm dead and gone, you can go and unbury him, if you so like. I regret enough not burying him, that I would never unbury him consciously, never, as long as I am driven by my remaining moral fibre. When I give up this house, you will be the only person to decide for my painter friend. Do you leave him to peace, or do you do the proper thing, wake him up, violate his home space, give him God's proper burial, God's proper send-off, though his slumber has been 50 years going. Now, for me, think of it if you must, but never enact upon it. If you are so compelled, just go over and stick a sign in the ground, stick a knife in his door, or paint over the painted words of the painter's name up on the spire, around and to its back, if you so wish to demean his masterpiece. Repaint this house. Paint my coffin red before you paint it blue, but don't repaint the strokes of an artist's signature. You let it pronounce its worth, and let its worth pronounce it. If it has worth, it will stay and keep its eye on us. If it has none, then I believe you can muster enough intelligence to find out what happens thus. And, too, when you bury me far from my friend, next to my mother, not my father or my children. Both have lived lives I don't want to hear about, and am not obligated to know any more. In heaven, I would still like to rest my head on my mother's lap, and let out 70 years a sigh. I do not know what compelled the death of my friend. I don't want to meet him in heaven. I want his spire and his memory, not, never, the truth that led to either.